Sorry for that. I am, it made me rotate my phone. It didn't like it the other way. So I am using my phone for the first time today. We are talking about eating 1,200 calories a day. So if you are somebody who is eating 1,200 calories a day right now, or something close to that, and you're like, I'm practically starving myself and I don't know why I'm not losing weight, then this video is going to be for you. So drop a comment down below. Let me know you guys are here. Okay, just say hello first of all. And maybe you're in this situation now. Maybe this is something you've tried in the past where you ate low calories and you're like, I don't understand why I am not losing weight. Then we're going to dive into this today. I'm going to show you what's really going on and the steps that you can be taking that are going to help you to turn things around so you guys can lose the weight and keep it off. Okay, keep it off. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, before I do that, I have a calorie guide I want to share with you. So one of the most important things is actually making sure you're eating the right amount of calories. It's not always about starving ourselves. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you want to grab my calorie guide, just drop calorie down below. It's going to help you to calculate how many calories you should be eating in order to lose weight, because I actually don't like these one size fits all. Everybody should eat 1,200 calories anyways, because we're all different, right? Our bodies are different, our metabolisms are different, right? I'm 5'9". Some of you guys are like 5'2". Do you really think we should be eating the same amount of calories to lose weight? No, we have very different body shapes, sizes, all these things. Hey Gwen, good to see you here. Thanks so much for hopping in. All right, guys. So let's dive into this. So first of all, it's frustrating. I totally get it, you guys. And I know a lot of times what we've been told is something like, you know, your body must just be holding on to fat, right? So you're in starvation mode because you're under eating your calories. So you're thinking, okay, well, I'm doing 1,200 calories. I must just be in starvation mode, and that's what's going on. And I hate to break it to you guys, but this is not the case at all. Just to give you kind of an extreme example, so they did a study, gosh, this was back before, they can't do studies like this anymore, but back in the day, it's called the Minnesota Starvation Study. Let me see, I pulled it up and tried to see what year this was. But it was, 1944. Okay, so they took these males because they wanted to study the effects of, you know, these low calorie diets, you know, especially going through like the Great Depression where people weren't eating enough food and things like that. Like, what were the effects of doing these things? So they put these males, what was it? It was like 1,570 calories a day, which for a male is pretty low, would be very similar to a 1,200 calorie diet. Now, do you think any of them just like gained weight or stayed, you know, heavier because they were, you know, in a starvation mode? No, every single one of them lost weight. Okay. And then a lot of them started having, over the course of a couple of months, started having some really negative side effects from following this diet. So when you look at some extreme examples like this, where they're, you know, we've seen these low calorie diets for months on end, they always lose fat. Okay, so if you're in a if you're at a calorie deficit, if you're under eating calories, you will lose fat. Okay, so chances are, if you're eating 1,200 calories, there's something going on there as to why you're not actually in a calorie deficit, and that's why you're not losing the fat. So we're going to talk about some of the common ways today that you might not actually be in a calorie deficit when you think you are. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover. And real quick, because if you guys are on live and you're looking for the calorie guide, it doesn't let me comment for you guys after the live is over. So I'm going to pop the link real quick for that calorie calculator for you guys that are on live. And if you are catching it later, I'll be sure to drop that link for you as well. So make sure to drop calorie, you guys, if you want to grab that guide. But I did pop the link here for you so that you have it. Okay. All right, so let's dive in. So let's talk a little bit. So some compensation can happen from lowering our calories, right? So that's where we think of starvation mode. My body's compensating, it's holding on to fat. There is some compensation, right? When we're not eating enough, we'll tend to move less, right? Because we're just not going to feel like it. So we're not actually burning as many calories throughout the day. we may actually be losing muscle. So one of the reasons I'm not a fan of really low calorie diets like 1200 or 1000 or 800 is because what happens is a lot of women can actually lose muscle mass, especially if they're not strength training or getting enough protein. So that can cause the metabolism to slow down a little bit. Typically won't slow down to the effect that you're going to just store fat and not lose weight, but it can have a long-term impact where this is why a lot of women will gain the weight back, because we're slowing our metabolism in the process. So it's not necessarily going to keep you from losing the weight, but it is going to cause you to gain the weight in the long run. And so we have to make sure as we're losing fat, as we're losing weight, that we're doing it in a way that doesn't that helps us gain, if not if at the very least maintain the muscle that we have on our body. This is really super key. So yes, we can compensate to a point, but not to a point that if you're eating like 1000 or 1200 calories that you're just going to stop losing fat. Okay, because you are going to lose weight if you're in a calorie deficit. So something is going on here where you're not in a calorie deficit. So we're going to talk about that here. You guys ready? I see Gwen's on, Cindy's on, Eric. Hey, what's up, Jen? Good to see you again, Jen. So excited you guys are here. I really appreciate you guys joining me live, even though a little snafu at the beginning. I had been shooting these on my computer and the quality was awful. So I was like, we're going to try this on my phone today. And then, of course, it wanted me to flip the video, and now that's why I'm so low down. We'll get this figured out, but you know, you got to learn as you go, right? I'm like, just get started, just do something. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you're never going to get anywhere if you don't just get going and give it a whirl, right? So so that's why that's what we're doing here today. I just roll with the punches, okay? So let's dive into this, guys, okay? So number one is that you're not actually eating 1200 calories. You're like, oh my gosh, seriously, Becky? Yeah. So there's a couple reasons that we're not actually eating 1200 calories, and these are common things I see when I work with my clients, when I'm, you know, as I have them logging their food and we're kind of diving into what they're doing. So these are the common things I see as to what's going on. So the first one, okay, is that you're guessing how much you're eating. Okay, so I literally had somebody the other day say to me, I think I'm eating 1200 calories. Okay, well, do you think you're eating 1200 calories, or do you know you're eating 1200 calories, right? So if we're just guessing and we think we're eating 1200 calories, but you really have no clue if you are or not, that's first of all going to be a problem, right? And so when I start working with clients, I always have them start with a food log, okay? And I know logging can feel a little tedious. It's some extra work, but you guys, the best way to learn about what you are actually doing and putting in your body and starting to understand food and to start to understand how much you're actually eating, not how much you think you're eating, is to actually log what you're doing, okay? Because you could be thinking you're eating 1200 calories, but maybe you're really eating 2400 calories. And this is the reason you're not losing weight, because you're either eating in a maintenance or you're eating too many calories, a surplus, that you're actually could be gaining weight in the process. So if you're not gaining weight, there's a chance you're just eating in a maintenance. You're probably eating more calories than you realize, and one of those is because you're guessing. Okay, so I'm a big fan of logging your food, at least for a period of time, so that you can start to really understand, what does your calorie goal look like? What does getting enough protein look like? How much are you really eating, especially on those days where you think you're doing really good, or on those days where maybe you eat too much and you don't realize how much it's taking you off track. So we'll talk about that as well. All right, so we have to log to see. So if you're not logging and you're guessing at how much you're eating, well, that's number one, okay? Number two is there's a lot of underreporting that can go on when we are logging our food. So first, we got to start by logging. Second, there's a lot of things that maybe just getting missed, not on purpose, right? Because we just forget or we don't think about it, and that can make a big difference as well. So maybe while you're cooking, you're taking bites of things that you're cooking. Maybe you're grabbing, you know, a couple fries or a couple things off the kids' plates throughout the day, right? Maybe it's like you're having these snacks in between your meals that you're not logging, right? And so if we're only logging like some of what we're eating, right? We're like, oh, look, 1200 calories, I did amazing. But what we didn't realize is that throughout the day, right? Maybe we were eating an extra 500, 600 calories, just munching on these little things, right? That can add up. Even though it's a small bite, even it's a small taste, 100 calories here, 200 calories there, you know, another 150 there, that stuff starts to add up. Okay, so make sure as you start logging that we're logging everything, even the little Hershey Kiss, even the few couple fries. And honestly, if you really want to see results, quit doing all the little snacking in between your meals. That's going to make a big difference as well. But we've got to make sure that we're tracking all these things because we could be missing a lot of calories thinking we're getting 1,200 when maybe we're really getting, say 2,000. Okay, so underreporting is going to be a big reason why you are not getting results. It's because we're not reporting everything that we're actually eating, so we're eating more calories than we think we are. So that's going to be the second one, guys. All right, the third one is the one I see the most, okay, is the most. It's like, I did really good. I eat 1,200 calories. And I'm like, okay, and maybe you are logging it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Is that like 7 days a week that you're eating that way? Like, how many days a week are you logging? And what I find is that people are logging on the days they're good, right? And so, and I do air quotes on purpose because I don't like to say you're good or you're bad or it's good or it's bad. It's not a moral thing. But that's a lot of times how we phrase it, right? Like, I was good today or I was bad today. And so let me know if you guys like have learned that. I know that was me for a long time. Like, foods are good or bad. I was good today, I was bad today. So let me know if you guys have been in that same place as I have. And it's just not helpful, right? It's not that it's good or bad. Is it helping us move towards our goals? Is it not helping us move towards our goals? I like to think about it more that way, right? Because it's not bad to have a piece of cake on your birthday, right? It's just how does that fit into what we're doing? So off on a complete tangent there, but what I see a lot of people do is they're like, I only eat. I'll give you guys an example. I had a client who was, she was logging, and I could only get her to log a couple days out of the week. And she's like, I eat 800 calories. I'm just not very hungry, and she's not losing weight. And I'm like, there's no way that you're eating 800 calories every day and not seeing any results. And in fact, if she was eating 800 calories a day, chances are she was going to be seeing some negative side effects, maybe losing her hair, maybe having some wild, crazy hunger. Cravings would be really high, like fatigue, right? So when we're consistently eating really low calories, that's not enough to fuel our body. You guys are going to you should be having some negative side effects, right? But I could not get her. I really struggled to get her to log on the weekends and on Friday and some of these other days during the week. And I know what was actually happening is that she was not eating 800 calories on those days. What was happening is she was off on those days or bad on those days, and probably the amount of calories she was eating on those days was making the average deficit over the course of the week, because it's not the one day that we ate 1,200 calories, it's the average over the course of the week that's going to make the difference, right? So maybe she was eating 800 calories 3 days out of the week, but if she was eating, say, 2,500 calories over the course of, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right, her average was probably closer to, say, 1,800 or 1,900, probably closer to what she needed to maintain her weight. And this is why she wasn't seeing results, okay? Not because she was eating 800 calories, but because sometimes we kind of want to put blinders on because we don't actually want to see, because we might be ashamed that, like, wow, I can't believe how much I eat on the weekends, right? And if you feel, that's a struggle for you, I can guarantee you, I've talked to hundreds of women, thousands of women that deal with the same thing, right? Where we feel like we get to the weekends and it's really hard to stay on track, and maybe we go crazy and we overeat and we binge eat, and it's just like, you roll into Monday feeling like a bloated, cow or whatever you want to call it, and you're starting over again. And this is a common thing, and it's hard to want to see what we're actually doing and what we're actually eating on those days. And I get it's hard to acknowledge that sometimes, but if we don't start to address that pattern of trying to like eat really low calories and why it's backfiring on the weekend, we're never going to be successful in reaching our goals in the long run. Okay, so what I encourage you to do in this scenario is log all throughout the week, okay? Take the judgment out of the logging, okay? Because the reason we don't want to log on the weekend is because we're judging ourselves for that. We're feeling ashamed for that. And the truth is that yes, it's a tough thing to look at, but if we can look at it, we can start to have goals and we can start to unravel what's going on there to undo that so that we can move forward towards our goals, okay? And for what I see a lot of reasons, so a couple reasons this happens is, one, the fact that we're trying to eat such low calories. This way I'm not a fan of 1,200 or 800 calorie diets, is because you're going to feel so hungry, so restricted, so deprived that when Friday hits, this is why your hunger is ramped up, your cravings are ramped up. You're like, I got to eat all this stuff now before I start with this awful, miserable diet again on Monday. So this is the big reason that a lot of people actually overeat on the weekends. It's not because you lack discipline. It's not because you lack willpower. It has a lot more to do with the fact that you are starving yourself. You're trying to starve yourself during the week, and it's going to come back like tenfold and ramp up your hunger, and it's going to make it very difficult to stay on track on the weekends. I know this was me for a lot of years, so let me know if you guys kind of feel the same way sometimes, where you feel like you're kind of off track on the weekends and you have to start over on Monday. Just drop me in the comments below. Let me know if that resonates with you guys. Okay, so well, one of the ways that we have to address that is to let's log throughout the whole week. Let's see those patterns that are showing up. For a lot of people, it means actually not eating 1,200 calories. We probably need to bump you up so that we're fueling your metabolism, we're fueling your fat loss, right? It seems weird to eat more, but our body needs the right fuel to be able to do the things it needs to do to burn fat, okay? And for our metabolism to work at its best. And when we can do that more consistently, right, and have more level, let's say your goal is 1,700 calories a day, that's going to be a lot easier to follow through the whole week into the weekend than trying to follow 1,200 calories and then you're so hungry that you eat 2,500 or 3,000 over the course, over the weekend days, okay? So when we can level that out quite a bit more, that's how you're going to actually be more successful in being consistent with the diet that you're following, so we don't end up having these really low calories followed by I don't want to log, I don't want to see, I don't want to know, super high calorie days, right? It's the low calories that's causing this backfire. So that's where we have to, pay attention to that, you guys. And I encourage you to log through those days so that you can start to see what are the things, like what are those patterns? Am I following this pattern? What are those foods on the weekend that maybe I need to adjust and pick and choose and be more mindful going into the weekend and have a plan on the weekend also so that I don't end up going crazy and overdoing it. Okay, so that's number 3, guys. 4 is kind of similar to number 3 in that a lot of times what will happen too is people will we're trying to hit 1,200 calories, which is not a lot of calories. So you're trying to undereat during the day. You're like, I'm going to eat this little tiny breakfast, or I'm going to skip breakfast altogether, right? I'm going to eat this little tiny lunch. You get to dinner, you get to the evening, and you're just like ravenous, right? Because trying to eat like 800 calories throughout the day and only having like 400 left at night, you're going to be hungry. Your cravings are going to be high. And so what a lot of times people do is they log that stuff during the day and then they start snacking at night, and they don't log the snacking at night because again, it's kind of like the weekend thing. We kind of don't want to see it. We don't want it in there. We don't want it to ruin our perfect day. And we can't ignore that stuff, you guys. Okay, so again, that low calorie all day long, that under eating all day long is going to backfire into overeating at night and overeating on the weekend. Okay, and so that is another reason that a lot of times we feel like we're eating 1,200 calories when we're actually not, because we're probably snacking at night and not logging it. We might be picking things throughout the day and not logging it. We might be going crazy on the weekends, and that's taking the average of the calories up over the course of the week. So you're not actually eating 1,200 calories. Okay. Now, if you're like Becky, I log 7 days a week. I stay within the calories. I don't know what's going on. The last piece has probably more to do with just making sure you're logging everything properly. So especially if you're new to logging and you don't really know what a portion size looks like, I really encourage you to make sure as you're logging, double check the portions on the label that you're correctly adding, like if it's 1 or 2 portions, right, that you're correctly adding that in, that you do weigh and measure for a little bit. Again, you don't have to weigh and measure for the rest of your life, right? The goal there is to start to learn, because a lot of us, we don't really know what actual serving looks like, right? We think a tablespoon of peanut butter is like this giant rounded tablespoon, when in reality, that's not, right? So we might actually be eating a double tablespoon of peanut butter when we don't realize that that's 2 instead of 1, right? So I do encourage you, especially if you're new to logging, just weigh a few things. Measure some stuff out, especially things like peanut butter, right? Where it's really easy to overdo it. If we think if you're doing cottage cheese to get enough protein in, check the serving size. Make sure you're actually eating the amount that you think that you're eating, right? Weigh the chicken breast so that you can see what an actual 4-ounce serving of chicken breast looks like. But especially with those high calorie things, like things that are more processed, things like that, where it's even easy to overeat that stuff, right? If you're gonna have some popcorn, don't just guess that you ate 2 cups of popcorn. Measure it out, see what it looks like. Cereal is another one. A serving of cereal is very teeny tiny. Like, I used to think I ate like 1 serving of cereal, and when I looked at it, it was like 3. Okay, same with ice cream. Oh, this is just a little bowl of ice cream. No, it's 2 servings of ice cream. So a lot of times we can think we're doing like a serving of ice cream, a serving of cereal, when in reality we're having 2 or 3, right? And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but again, 200 calories there, 100 calories there, 300 calories there is going to be the thing that's going to add up and take us over, right? So we might actually be getting 17, 1800, 2000 calories when we think we're getting 1200. Okay, so spend a little time just to learn what those servings look like. Then you can start to eyeball them over time. But we have to do a little work in the beginning to understand better what that looks like. Okay? All right, guys. So the last piece is just really kind of tying this all together, is how consistent are you being too, right? Okay, so it's like we can't just log 1200 calories for 3 days and then eat whatever we want for the rest of the week, right? That is going to, that's going to, we're not going to get an accurate representation of what we're actually doing that way, right? We can't be on track for 1 week and then off track for 3 weeks and then wonder why we're not getting results. So, consistency with what we're doing is going to be really key to helping make sure that we stay on track. And it doesn't mean being perfect all the time. It doesn't mean being 100% on all the time, but just continuing to show up. What I see with a lot of people is they kind of have this perfectionism, this all-in mindset. Let me know if that resonates with you, because that is something I've had to really work on and battle with, is that all-in, all or nothing mindset. And it's like I would be really on track and then really off track, right? And so a lot of times what I see with people is, like if you have a bad weekend, right? So you're like, I did really good. I ate 1200 calories. You have a bad weekend. I already messed it up. I screwed it up. So then it's like a month goes by and you do nothing, and then you start over again a month later, right? This inconsistency is also going to be something that keeps you stuck. So the key there is showing up, and we do have to be consistent, and we have to be honest with ourselves about how consistent we actually are with this stuff, okay? So if we're only logging sometimes, if we're only paying attention to what we're eating sometimes, if we're kind of ignoring the weekends or ignoring the snacks that we're eating, guys, that's fine if you want to do that, right? But you're not going to see the results that you want, and it's going to be, don't complain about your results when we're not showing up consistently and doing the things that we need to do. Now, does this just mean you have to starve yourself and it has to be very complicated and very difficult? No, absolutely not, right? The approach that you take to your fat loss, this is why I love what I do and the way that I work with my clients, is because it's about not starving yourselves. I don't even think most women should be eating 1200 calories. I don't have a single client I have on 1200 calories. Most of them are at least 1500 or more. We need to eat in a way that's sustainable, that we can do it in the long run in the first place. And my problem with a lot of these low calorie diets is that they actually backfire. This is why people are overeating on the weekends. This is why we feel guilt and shame about what we're doing. This is why we find ourselves snacking at night. So when we can have a more balanced approach that allows us to not be starving all day long, that allows room to enjoy the things we love or to go out to eat on the weekend, that's going to be how this stuff sticks and how this is sustainable, okay? And so that's what I love helping clients do. So of course, if you guys need more help on your goals and you're looking for some support, accountability, be sure to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram, Becky Fox Fitness, or shoot me an email. Some of you guys are already on my email list, and I'd be happy to chat about how I can help you reach your goals. But in the meantime, I encourage you guys, if you are following 1200 calories, it's probably too low for you, and I really encourage you to have a calorie goal that feels sustainable, that feels good for you, and fuels your body properly so you can lose the fat and keep it off, okay? So drop calorie in a comment down below. I'll get that over to you so that you can calculate what those calories look like for you. And I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks again for joining me. Say hello if you did hop in. I love to see who is here, who is live, who actually stuck around to the end. Because kudos to you for showing up for yourself to learn something to help you move forward. And I look forward. I'm planning on possibly doing this every Wednesday at 12. If you guys think that would be cool to be able to hop in live with me on a weekly basis here on YouTube, say heck yeah in a comment down below, and maybe we'll make it happen, okay? All right, you guys, thanks for being here, and we'll see you later.